Shelly. How are you today?
I'm great. What do you have there?
I have some fruit.
I love fruit, don't you?
I love fruit too. Hey, Shelly, have you ever wondered what would happen if they never picked the fruit off the trees? Or if no one bothered to harvest the produce?
Well, it would go bad. It would get old, moldy, rotten, and really, really yucky.
Yeah.
No one would be able to enjoy it, and it wouldn't provide nourishment or joy. That seems sad, doesn't it?
It does. That would be real sad. In the Old Testament, during the Feast of Harvest, the Israelites celebrated God's abundant provisions. That means they celebrated that God provided all their needs in a lot of different ways. You see, Israel was a farming society, so the people's lives depended on God, especially to send rain so their crops could grow. After the crops grow, it would be harvested. Then all of Israel would come together and present their offerings to God.
Yes, and in our Big God story...
What? I love the Big God story!
In our amazing story today, we will see and we'll get to listen to one of Jesus' teaching about the harvest, and it was ready to be brought in.
In this teaching by Jesus, we are like farmers. Jesus wants us to go out into the world, but instead of gathering crops, he asks us to gather people. God's field is the whole world. The world's full of people to tell about Jesus, and we get to go and tell them. This is a story about Jesus.
Hello!
Jesus went traveling through many towns, teaching many people. He called 12 men to follow
Excuse
him.
me? Come on!
He healed the sick, raised people to life. He walked on water. He stopped storms. And he traveled from town to town. As Jesus went through all the towns and villages, he was teaching in their synagogues, proclaiming the good news of the kingdom and healing all kinds of disease and sickness. Tons of people wanted to be near Jesus and listen to his teachings. And when he saw the crowds, he had compassion on them because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plenty, but the workers are few. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest field." The end.
Keep it simple.
Wasn't that such an awesome story? We see that Israel was a farming society, so the people's lives depended on God sending rain so the crops could grow. The Feast of the Harvest, also known as Pentecost, and the Feast of Weeks, was a celebration that took place every harvest season about 7 weeks after Passover. At just the right time, when the harvest was ripe, workers would go out into the fields and harvest the grain. All of Israel stopped working, gathered, and offered sacrifices to God from the first fruits of their produce. It was a time for Israel to remember and celebrate how God had abundantly provided for their spiritual and physical needs. God is our abundant provider. During Jesus' day, he told his followers, "The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few." I know it sounds like it, but Jesus wasn't talking about farmers harvesting the crops. Jesus was explaining that many people are ready to hear about God's word and put their faith in him, but there's a need for followers to go out and reach those people. Today, as we spend time remembering and celebrating what God has done for his people, remember that we are harvesters, called to invite people to trust and obey Jesus.